Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning. Morning. How are you doing today? Turn off the mix minus so we don't get the echo. It's hard to talk with stuff in your ear. Thank you for joining us today. Today is the POMcast. It's a less than celebratory POMcast, of course, with 2 losses to Central Florida over the weekend, and our number 1 ranking is basically gone. I told you to enjoy it. When it happened, I told you to enjoy it because the only sure thing in this is that it goes away. So now, if you are constantly looking at the result, constantly looking at the finish line, all of a sudden you are in trouble. Central Florida pitched a very good weekend. All 3 pitchers and their Sunday guy was actually quite good. Our bats did not really come alive. They really missed Peyton Chatney at second base. They tried 3 different options over the weekend for that to replace him, but none really panned out as it was. In basketball, Ole Miss went up to Memorial Gymnasium, a house of horrors. For Ole Miss basketball, traditionally turned into another house of horrors as Vanderbilt beat Ole Miss, effectively ending their season. So if you were tuning in for future info on that, there you go. Tonight, expect a stream of the recruiting czar, Darby McCranie. He's going to come in and talk, I think, about running backs tonight. He'll be on Tuesday and maybe Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday has a chance to get very squirrely. The times may change. There may not be a show. I don't know yet. My other job, I have stuff that I have to do. Trainings during all parts of the day. We'll see about that, and I'll let you know via my Twitter page what is going on with that. Of course, just to let you know, you can follow the show on Twitter at the Stephen Willis. We're also at Old Positively. We're not really using that at the moment, but we might eventually, so you can follow that as well. On Facebook, facebook.com/POMcast. On YouTube, you can catch us in 2 places. That is Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell for notifications, or Willis Digital Media. Willis Digital Media. Do us a favor and subscribe. That is going to house all of our videos, not just the Ole Miss one. The Positively Ole Miss is going to have the Ole Miss stuff, but we're planning on doing stuff surrounding attractions in Central Florida and things like that. We're going to pick up the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. It'll be on that page. That'll be like a all-encompassing look at Ole Miss sports. Now, the Ole Miss stuff will be on there as well. So if you like a lot of variety, it's going to be right there for you to have. So it should be pretty cool once we get up and running. I'm having several meetings over the course of the next week and a half with people interested in putting their platform on Positively Ole Miss and using our restreaming ability and things like that. And basically using me, allowing me to run the show a little bit as far as my equipment here. Because I've invested $20,000-ish in hardware, as you can see. Now I want to provide people with the opportunity to use that so they don't have to waste effort on their own live streaming. They don't have to host it. They don't do anything. I mean, we're on social media. We're completely social media based platform with video. That's kind of what we're doing, and we're looking at hopefully making this Ole Miss thing grow and grow and grow. I mean, we're crossing thresholds. We don't have the baked in audience that some people have and think they're doing well. We don't have that. So we're building this from scratch. Every subscriber matters. Every subscriber to Willis Digital Media, to Positively Ole Miss, it all matters. If you want to follow us on Twitch, or you can at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, or Willis Digital Media, all one word, on Twitch. We're going to do the same thing. So it's going to be basically two pathways to get into the content. It's either the Positively Ole Miss, which is just going to be Ole Miss specific, and Willis Digital Media, where everything else is going to live as well. So that should be the larger thing. And once we get on Twitch, it'll be scheduled out. You'll know that the POMcast is at 11 Eastern, 10 Central as a schedule pops up. The Believe in Georgia Dogs might be Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So that's what we're looking at with that. So we're going to grow that, and we're going to spend time over the, next couple of months trying to get that at a level that is practically enjoyable. Central Florida was actually very impressive. Now, I know they dropped 2 out of 3 to Florida Atlantic the first weekend. They looked pretty good last week. I think it looks like they were overlooking Florida Atlantic to get to Ole Miss. They played really quite well. There's some solid bats. I think they were preseason top 25 coming into the season. Their pitching looked pretty good. So it was a pretty good little baseball team. And they just flat out did what they had to do, tip of the hat, whatever you want to say. They got it done. We did not. Our bats just went to sleep. And I really think that the straw that stirs the drink so much when it comes to Ole Miss baseball is Peyton Chatney. So that second base hole was a problem. At shortstop, you got a true freshman. There was, times out there was true freshmen in both spots. So that is what we're dealing with. Don't, jump off a cliff or don't get upset. Don't football mindset it so much because, the number one ranking to begin with didn't really mean anything other than the fact that it happened, and it doesn't mean anything when you do not have it. We're looking at Ole Miss being a host team, regardless, and in all honesty, take away the national seed type stuff, but in all honesty, the hosting is the pinnacle of what's happened. That's the top 16 teams in the country. Ole Miss has done that quite consistently, and they'll probably do it again. In basketball, Kermit Davis got him in. The team just does not have a shooter that it can count on. This is a team going way back when to Chris Warren and then Marshall Henderson and Steph Moody that has always had that guy that they could count on is just an ultimate alpha male on the basketball court. Bree and Tyree, all the way through Bree and Tyree, they do not have that this year. They do not have a shot maker at this point in time. It might be sad. You might look at it a certain way, but that is the reality of what we're dealing with. Is there's just no guy. There's no way to just make it better. There's no Chris Warren, no Marshall Henderson, and kept that. Devontae Shuler is a heck of a player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not, but he's so streaky that when he's on, he actually elevates the position. When he's off, it devalues the position. It's not a consistent line that you can count on every time you go out there. There's a gap about like that either we're really good or we're really not. And it could be anywhere there, and the consistent line is somewhere in the middle. And it's just because we don't have that guy. Now, I would have loved to have seen Brian Tyree on this team. This basketball team with Brian Tyree would probably finish second or third in the SEC this year. Just because all that is lacking is that dude. And next year, we've talked about this multiple times with Deshaun Ruffin. And Grant Slatton and James White and everything, the recruiting class that is coming in, there are some guys, and there are addressing some of these deficiencies that we are seeing with the basketball team this year. I mean, absolutely got addressed in recruiting. 100%. But this year, I mean, there's nothing. And Jarkel Joyner, he needs to shoot every shot in the offseason from behind the line. Because he's so good from 19 feet and in. But we need him good at 22. So he needs to basically, on repeat, shoot those three-point shots. We will be better because of it. His mid-range game is already pretty special. But the mid-range game will get you beat in modern basketball if you're not careful, because you can't trade threes for twos. The other team is on, like Vanderbilt was the other night. Ole Miss has no way to combat that because they're so weak from behind the arc. And it just separates. And remember, that was Vandy without Scottie Pippen Jr. He's coming to Oxford in 5 days. Kentucky will be there tomorrow. 8 o'clock. Should be a fun game. Should be a fun game. Kentucky has trouble making shots as well. I mean, they're a long team. Kentucky's always a long team. They're always an athletic team. But the lack of shot making, Ole Miss has a chance. This is going to look a lot like the Tennessee game or the Missouri game. It's going to be one of those type things. So Ole Miss can probably win this game. Against Vanderbilt Saturday, I don't know. It could be into one of those trading 3 for 2 type situations. I just don't know. And what's with Vandy trading off, getting rid of their baskets? When did they do that? Can you put in comments below when that change happened? Because I looked at their basket and they had a normal basket back there. When did they change from the stanchion that just went off and to the side? When did that happen? Seems like I remember it being there when Bryce Drew was there. Is this something that just happened? I don't know. It is still, by the way, one of the most unique environments in all of college basketball. But whenever you change those baskets, it becomes a little bit less intimidating. So, all right, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to, let's see, talk about, we'll talk about what we have planned and things like that. But rough weekend for the Rebs. Just a weekend, though. It's not the end of the world. But we'll see. Anyway, stick around. Hotty toddy.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right, welcome back to the show. POMcast, Stephen Willis, right here on a nice Monday morning after a disastrous weekend for Ole Miss sports. The Lady Rebs did beat Kentucky. I think a 4-point win in Lexington to complete the season sweep of the Kentucky Wildcats. Coach O is just slowly building. It's building up. You can see it coming. I think Ole Miss is at 500, 10-10 at the moment. So after the crater that they were in, congratulations to Coach O and everything for what they're building. I know you're not there yet or where you want to be, but congratulations for the events that are happening, because you can just see the improvement. Your recruiting class are 2 away from being pretty dang good. So congratulations to Coach Yo. Track and field also won a couple of events, and you look at it, and I mean they're kind of moving as well. So congratulations to them as well. Spring training is coming up. It's about 3 weeks away, and that should be quite fun. Really looking forward to that. And let me see. Is that muted? Yeah. But I mean, it should be fun. It is a huge, absolutely massive occurrence for the defense. We all know what we have offensively. I mean, it's all there. The same people are in place. Everything you need. Do it. We have to replace Elijah Moore. We added Ja'Cour Pearson, who was a slot-type shifty receiver in the vein of Elijah Moore. Looks a lot like Elijah Moore playing. But we also added J.J. Henry, which is more of a Jalen Waddle-type slot. Just pure speed. If you haven't seen him on Huddle, give him a check out, J.J. Henry. Just a heck of a player, somebody I'm very, very excited about. But defensively, this spring is important for the team, especially defensively. We have new defensive linemen coming in. We have new linebackers, including Chance Campbell, coming in. We have a rebuilt secondary. So all those players that were on the field last year, doesn't matter how good they were. And I exclude Otis Reese because he played so late. Not so much of, lack of a better word, the stink got on him. But if you played last year, if you are cemented in a spot, it is not given this year. There's so many new players coming in, and not just that, they know that so many those players are built specifically for what they're looking for, so they're expecting them to play. So this is a massive year for the class, for like AJ Finley. It's absolutely massive for him. He needs to take control of this spring, or else one of these newcomers will take his job. Jacob Springer is coming into that defense next year, and he was an all-conference guy at Navy the year before last. He had to sit out last year because of transfer. And like whenever you transfer from a service academy to a regular school, there are NCAA rules that are a little bit different because basically the military academy, I don't think there's a tuition bill at all. So it's all money that's been coming to him. No matter what students are in, if you're competing athletically there and you go to another one, you're going to have to sit out. It's just the rule. But he's coming in. He's a basically a ready-made star. He's going to play that Tylan Knight position that we saw late in the year that Tylan Knight was starting to excel at. Big spring for him, too, with Jacob Springer being there. Now, that pushes Otis Reese to strong safety, where Jonathan Haynes was. So that's two that have been preempted. Now we look at free safety. And that is where what I mean by the A.J. Finley position is so important. We have Tysheem Johnson, who is a super athlete. He just is. He has honey badger-like tendencies coming to high school. Whether or not he's going to be there, I do not know. Whether or not he's going to do that, I do not know. But he has that in his game. Now, he's a 5'9", 5'10" guy. Do you put him at free safety? But that's a position where he has a chance to roll up. But you see the former players that were on the field for so many snaps last year that have been basically taken off already. You look at linebackers. You have Lakia Henry, Jacquez Jones, Momo Sanogo. Well, Chance Campbell's coming in. He's going to get one of those two positions. So somebody's going to have to sit down there. My prediction right now is Chance Campbell and Jacquez Jones, because Jacquez Jones is the more athletic of any of the linebackers. Then Jacob Springer playing near the line. He's the fifth defensive back / hybrid linebacker. All of a sudden, you have something working. You have something you can do, something you can deal with. And then on the defensive line / outside linebacker for the buck position, Sam Williams, that's obvious. But that position is pretty well settled because they have Tavius Robinson. At corner, you have Darius Leonard and Keedron Smith, who is desperately wanting to hold on to their position because MJ Garrett and Markevius Brown right there competing with them. So competition is being built up all over this defense, and a lot of these guys are here. That's what's important, and that's what makes this spring so important. You have a lead in the spring. You need to have a lead to keep it and feel pretty good about it by the end of spring. If you already drop down by week 2 or week 3 of spring, you're in trouble. You're going to end up being second team at best. And that also means that one of the signees are probably better than we thought. But if you look at the defensive line, T. Tisdale, Quinn Bivens. I mean, we were running last year with defensive ends, sometimes multiple defensive ends on a formation. There would be plays in there where we had Ryder Anderson, Tavius Robinson, and somebody else just running defense. Basically, it was like our NASCAR pass rush set, but still, that's a light set. This year, for this class, they went and got Jamon Gordon. They went and got Isaiah Iton. They got Tywan Malone to fit those roles of interior defensive linemen that needed to be fit. What that also means is those players, since we're not so light, how many double teams? Because you got to double team Sam Williams. So that either takes care of your running back or tight end and the tackles. That's 4. 4 left. To block Isaiah Iton or Jamon Gordon or Tywan Malone and T. Tisdale. Because if you can set it out to where 6 people are necessary to block your 4, it's 2 double teams they can pick out. Then all of a sudden, a blitz can really mess up their protection, both inside through their double teams and outside. It puts pressure on the offense. And that is what we're trying to get to, because this is a high reward defense. This isn't a bend but don't break defense. This is a big play defense. This is a momentum building defense. I know you didn't see it last year, but it's designed to create turnovers. It's designed to create explosive plays. So you can keep an eye on all of that and just see all the fanciness coming down the pipe for the team. So I'm looking forward to the defense, but this is a huge spring for them. Absolutely massive. And then you look at the offense, Jerry Neely probably isn't going to play this spring because of the injury. He hasn't played any baseball so far this season. So it's a big spring for Henry Parrish. It's a big spring for Snoop Connor. Kentrell Bullock, it's a big spring for. Because you have a chance to win those reps. Now, next year, it's not going to, whenever Jerry Neely comes back, he's obviously going to get the lion's share of the reps. But those other guys coming through, the year after that, all of a sudden, you get a leg up going into the next spring. So it's about a slow build. And a good job for somebody like Kentrell Bullock, who had 2 carries in the Outback Bowl. Looked pretty good for both of them. It's all about confidence also. Lane Kiffin is always going to preach this. He's going to put a very confident team on the field. It drives me crazy. And Tennessee was the worst this year at this that I saw. The worst offender. And that was a true freshman quarterback can't run our offense. He can't pick up the schemes. He needs to do. Okay. If you tell a freshman quarterback that enough, they will believe you. And they will not pick it up. And they're not going to be the best version of themselves, even as a freshman quarterback. So why would you tell them that? Why would you point that out in the media? We all understand. If you've watched a half of football, a freshman college player, a true freshman, is not the same as a fifth-year senior. They play differently. But it's up to you to do the things to make them the most successful. Otherwise, it's just an excuse. And if you just make an excuse, all of a sudden you see a regressive offense like Tennessee. I mean, think about that. With I think his name's Harrison Bailey. I think that's his name. They said over and over, you can't pick up your offense. Can't pick up your offense. Their offense hasn't been good for 2 years. So if you can't pick up a bad offense, think about what that does to the psyche, to the confidence of the player. Because they know. It's like talking to somebody that has bad credit. They know they have bad credit. Doesn't matter if you give them bad news. They know already. But it's going to be a huge, fun spring. As you can probably also tell, I'm hitting a little bit my wheelhouse talking about football. I'm excited about that. Whenever we do spring practice, we might even do daily little 5-minute videos. I don't know. I'm excited. Let's see, what else? Before we get off the air, we got a couple of minutes. I think that's about it. I'll give you a couple of minutes back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am, of course, Stephen Willis, and this has been the POMcast. Until next week. Hotty toddy. Or tomorrow.